What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, man, we got a fun one for all of you. We have singer, songwriter, musician, the one, the only MiG Ayesa joining the show tonight. I'm excited to have MiG on. I'm a big fan of his work, a big fan of his music, so I'm looking forward to this conversation and really getting into it. But before we get into it, I need to take a quick second to tell you about healthvape.com. Now, healthvape.com is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. So, put down those nasty cigarettes and those nasty nicotine vapes and check out Health Vape. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you're tuning in, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified whenever we drop new content. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please, baby, give us a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics. It helps us bring more amazing conversations to more amazing people like yourselves. But, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into my conversation with the one, the only, MiG fucking Ayesa. Yeah, baby. MiG Ayesa, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, mate. It's good to see you. Good to see you, Piers, and thanks for having me. I feel like I've just gone through this vortex, and through the magic of the intranet, I'm here talking to you. What a legend!
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to have you on, man. Thank you very much. It's what, first thing in the morning, Saturday morning, where you're at now?
Yeah. Well, greetings from New York City. As you can tell, this is my real view.
That's amazing view.
No, it's not. It's it's all fake and phony. It's all Hollywood, mate. It's all Hollywood. But it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I did go out last night, but I set my alarm clock just so I could speak to you because I didn't want to miss this opportunity to say g'day. And I had this moment with you.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But how long have you lived over in the States for now?
Wow. I moved here from London. I was actually in London for a few years from 2002 to 2006. So 2006, I think I moved here. So do the math. I can't do the math. It's too long. Oh, God.
We'll go.
19 years, almost. My God. We're getting up there,
How do you find living life in America? Because I suppose you being an Australian and then going to the UK, which I'd assume the UK personalities are very similar to the Australian sense of humor and whatnot. So it wouldn't be too much of a culture shock. But how was it originally moving to the US? Because that's kind of you hear the stories about how intense that place can be sometimes.
Yeah. Good point. I mean, moving to London, I kind of integrated fairly quickly. Our sense of humor is pretty similar to the sarcasm and the self-deprecating humor, which is England. But moving to, I actually moved to LA in 2006, and so that was kind of it's a bit strange. I mean, I made some beautiful friends. Don't get me wrong, but there's a sense of are you guys real? Because you'd go into a Starbucks, for example, and order a coffee, and you'd have someone at the counter greeting you with, "Hi, good morning, welcome to Starbucks. What a beautiful day! It's so great to serve you. How can I help you?" That's LA. Oh my God! And then but then you move to New York, and it's you go to Starbucks, and they go, "Step up."
Yeah, the intensity.
Yeah, it's like, yin and yang.
Mm,
Yeah, it's still, quite beautiful in their own way because New Yorkers are
sure.
pretty honest, they're pretty like, they'll tell it to you in your face. They don't give a shit. They really
Mm.
will just call a spade and, whatever. And if you're in the way, don't have time for you. Whereas in LA, they make you feel as though they have time for you, but even though really they don't really have time for you. They make you feel as though,
Like it's more of like a fakeness about it, whereas like the New Yorkers are like, yeah, we don't like you, and we're not afraid to pretend to tell
and
you to
I
go
and I
fuck
don't
yourself.
want to say LA's a fake, not at all. But
Oh,
for people that I met there and everything, it's just a sense of like, what is real,
mm,
and it was kind of a weird though as well. Well, because when I was in LA, at the time, and we'll talk about this later, I'm sure, but at the time it was kind of
sure.
like I felt like the new kid in town. I felt like, doors were opening to me, red carpets and blah blah blah, and everyone wanted to just get to know me. And I thought, what a friendly, wonderful place. And as soon as my record deal went south, I couldn't get an email to be returned or a phone call. No one took my call. It's just like I was dropped. I was dropped like a
Wow.
bag of shit over the Empire State Building. That's how it felt like.
But it's
And,
kind of like the music industry is kind of like that though, right? Because it's like you could be hot for 1 minute and then it's like, yeah, your sound isn't our flavor right now. Like that's kind of like,
yeah,
is that kind of how it can be at times, right?
yeah, it's brutal. It can be really brutal, mate. And for a second there, for a short second, I had my 15 minutes of fame, and I thought that this would just progress into something bigger and better and brighter. And I thought it was just a stepping stone. But I found out that no, that was it. It's like, mate, oh, it's done, it's over. What happened? And it was kind of like it's a cruel joke in some ways because
Mm.
you spend your whole life thinking, oh, it'll be great when I get that. I got that position, and from that point on, life will be sweet, and I'll just move on and develop and grow
Progress and
from
go
there.
from there.
And then when it comes to you, and then it gets taken, they basically put it in a plate, and you get to smell it, this beautiful meal, and you get to and almost taste it. You're about to put your fork into the plate, and they take it away. They go, "Oh no, it's not for you. It's for somebody else," and they walk away with it. So you've got the sense of you've smelt it, you've seen it, you've almost touched it, and but you can't eat it. It's cruel, but at the same time, you got to make the most of what the opportunity brought you. And
Mm.
I feel like that's my continued journey in life is to, okay, you've had this sort of little platform. How do you create something out of that? And God, 17 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think it was like, is around that time, like, that's kind of before like a real social media boom had really hit. Like it was just before Twitter, Instagram. Like I think MySpace was like the hot thing right then,
my
right? Like
God,
MySpace and MSN.
MySpace was just about to start. In fact, it was kind of like just launched while we were doing Rockstar. This was like Rockstar in Excess was 2005. And I think YouTube itself was launched around in 2006. So we didn't even have a chance to do anything like that. Because I remember everyone was like, we sort of did a tour with some of the contestants of
Yeah.
Rockstar, the finalists. And people were saying, oh, can I use this for my MySpace? My MySpace was a big thing.
Yeah.
But I do also remember my record label was signed to Universal Decca at the time, and they were telling me, "Oh, there's a new thing called YouTube. You should just film yourself because at the time the bandwidth was really small,
Yeah.
and the qualities of videos were really terrible. But you would shoot, for example, just stuff on your video camera. I didn't have my phone was sucked at the time, but so you used your video camera and you'd shoot yourself like, oh, I'm on my way now to the studio. Here we go.
Yeah.
Bye. 10 seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
And I actually have some badges. I wonder if I can find them. But YouTube gave me these badges. Like your music video was the third most watched music video in all of YouTube, and I think it had like 3,000 hits. That was
Wow.
yeah. So at the time, I guess I was a pioneer of YouTube, and
But
them
YouTube, yeah,
kids
like
done and took it away from me. None.
it's crazy how like quickly the world has kind of evolved in this social media world of you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
of just like social media, YouTube. Like there's so many artists and performers and things that can go and just get this like underground following almost is like is what it
yeah,
is like you can
yeah.
get like look at TikTok for example, and I kind of like I've said this before is like I feel like TikTok gives people this false sense of fame because it's like you get these, like, you see these people have got like 500,000 followers on TikTok, and then like you go to their Instagram or their YouTube channel, and it's like 500 people.
Thank
You
you.
know what I mean? Like,
I knew, yeah, it gives them a sense of like, so many people are watching. Are they really? You know, it becomes, they again, it's almost like that. I was telling you about them planting the seed of your 15 minutes of fame. With TikTok, it's kind of like, here it is. Oh, you can smell it. You know, you can almost taste it. Am I there? It gives you that excitement and sense of like, oh, I'm actually doing something, and it's making an impact. Whether it is, I don't know. I must admit, I'm not on TikTok. I love the Instagram though. I do love the gram.
yeah,
Yeah.
suck Instagram.
I'm a bit like, I go into my Instagram hole. You know, I just turn it on, and start scrolling, and an hour later, my life has whizzed past me.
I'm like that. Like literally, like I'll go to bed and I'll lay in bed and I'll go, oh yeah, I'll just like check something on Instagram or
Yeah.
like promote the podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like I'll get scrolling, or I'll find like a content creator or someone or like whatever, and I'm like, oh, this is really entertaining. And then I just fall down this rabbit hole of like going through there, like,
Yeah, follow they. Who do they? Oh, what have they done? What have they done? Yeah,
yeah,
it's,
oh, they collaborated with this person. Now I got to see what they do.
man. It's very addictive. And I get it, because it's like, you know, seeing these little snippets of people's lives, and I think it's really fun. It's really great. The danger it could be, like, if, like you said, like, you know, people think that, oh, it's a huge difference. They're an influencer, you know. Maybe it's not the be all and end all thing, or maybe it's not really achieving what you think is achieving, or whatever. You use it as a platform to create good, or create something, and move, you know, and do something really special. Then that's great. But I don't think it's the end game, and I think people are a bit kidding themselves when they think it's the end game. It's not. You know, it's just, you know, use it as a tool. Use it as a promotional tool for other cool stuff you're doing, for other bits. You know, and for that, I'm 100% into it. I think it's really great tool. Yeah, just don't waste your life on it.
But you know what? It's funny. Like I had like, but my Instagram account like got shut down like about over a year ago for some random thing when they did the meta thing, and my Facebook and Instagram, I had like 5,000 followers, something like that,
Yeah.
like doing it. And then I was like, I'm talking to like someone who's like in their early 20s. I'm like, oh yeah, my Instagram. You had thousands of followers. I'm like, yeah, and I just started again. But oh my god, my world would end. I'm like, hey, I've got 3 kids. As long as they're healthy, my wife is healthy. Like, you know
Well,
what I mean? Like the whole materialism of social media, like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not sitting there counting how many likes I get when I post some shit. You know what I mean? Like it's just, but I think
Yeah.
it's a different mentality as well, because it's like these people grew up with that and they used to that from such a young age,
And
as opposed to people.
that is the problem. I think, uh, you know, I'm not, I don't sprout to be a holier than thou person, because I enjoy it. I really think Instagram and, you know, watching YouTube, which YouTube is great. All these opportunities for people to actually post some great content and some really funny stuff. I mean, I think some people are really clever, and, you know, I love the following comedians and the stuff, crazy stuff that people do. I think it's really funny. It's just, yeah, people just have to be careful. Like, it's not the be all and end all. Like, it's like there is a life out there. If you can document it, great. Use it as and share it with us, fantastic. But go out there. Life. Remember that old sort of thing? Life, be in it. Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like you kind of have to be, and like, but I feel like now with technology and stuff like that, and that's why like you see with these TikTok videos and now YouTube doing shorts, it's like this quick, digestible content which is under a minute.
Yeah, the YouTube. It's almost like now these people are following each other, like following the trend. Like YouTube is now like, oh, it's a bit old school. Now let's be hip and happening, and give them 15 seconds of, you know, or a minute or a maximum of these shorts. Yeah, it's our attention span. It's getting less and less. We've got to hit them hard, and you know, at the beginning, but that's okay. That's okay. If it grabs your attention and gives people a sense of like, oh, who is this guy, and gives you a chance to for them to follow you, or for them to actually get a chance to see what you really do, then that's great. You know, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, but as well, I feel like in a certain aspect as well, like now with social media, it's like people are so out there and stuff like that, where it's like there's no in a lot of ways, there's no real privacy left for a lot of people as well. It's you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're going out and like you're having dinner and you see people taking photos of their food, it's like, just eat the shit. Like, come on, man. Like, no one gives a shit that you're eating fucking like a carbonara tonight. Sorry.
But I think people, excuse my hair, I just like it's falling
No,
on my
you're
face. It just, I think it's also people feel like, well, I'm obligated to my followers and my fans. They want to know what my food I'm eating. I've started this project and I'm going to finish it, kind of vibe. You know what I do love about Instagram and the thing which is really fun is you look at the archive, you know, the stories you create.
Yeah.
Then you go by the end of the year and you can go on the calendar and you can have a look at the stories that you created on that day.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
kind of
I
like,
didn't know that.
yeah, it's really cool because then you go to you go to the archive and you look at the stories you created. It gives you a calendar, and you can see that on the calendar there's certain things that you posted. Some days you haven't posted anything, but those days that you do, you've relived those days, and it's like what I use that sometimes as a very cool tool because when you're doing your taxes, you got to tell, oh, what were you doing this day? When did you leave? The United States. When did you come back? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, bloody know. Instagram. Go in and go, oh yeah, there's me posting about being on that flight. Boom, it was that day.
That's when
Really
being
fun.
a social media Mongol, can help you. You know what I mean? Like,
Use it as a tool, and for example, also in Facebook, the albums the photo albums in Facebook are fantastic. Because who prints photos anymore? How can you show photos? And I'm a photographer too. I'm an avid photographer. I've got my DSLR, my Sony SR7, and I love to go out and you change my lenses and go on photographic expeditions. But I want to share that, this kind of stuff. Oh, look, this is beautiful. I want to, and put those into these photo albums, and they can give you, you're allowed to load up high res stuff on Facebook and put them in albums. So it's like I've got those photo albums on my Instagram, like just like of all the trips that I've done. It's like I've done It's like having scrapbooks, and it's cool. You can access them anywhere. So those are really fun aspects. I use them a lot for myself and for my family and my friends. I can just share things with.
Yeah.
I
think that's really cool. And I think that's one of the things that we've been able to enjoy is like once we sort of started having kids and started putting seeing the journeys of like when they were born to up until current day and stuff like that. That's really cool. And it's like sometimes even in your phone you get the stories of the photos you took this day 3 years ago and stuff like that. And I was like, I have my eldest son who's 7. It's like I get a flashback of when he was 2, and I'm like, oh.
Well, can you imagine now, people growing up in this era or born in this era, by the time they get to the end of their life, how much footage of their whole life is documented, like literally documented. They could probably make a documentary of their life second by second and really paste it together.
But there was actually a guy that did that. He started when he was I think 10 years old,
right?
Or it might have been 12, even younger than that. And he took a photo of himself every single day for 15 years and then uploaded it and put it into this video on YouTube. And it was just ridiculous. And he's doing the same pose. He's just like that. Right. And you just see him get older and older each day over 15 years. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, that could be cool and depressing at the same time. There's certain parts of me that I'm still 20, right? I'm still 21. But actually, hell no. There is an app that I started doing that with until I stopped because I realized, oh, this is getting depressing now. I realized how much I've aged in the last 2 years. It's an app called Every Day. And you take a photo of yourself, and it has a template. So you put your head in the template, and you take a selfie, and then it just documents it. And then every day, whatever, you just press a button, it plays the video, and does it for you. All the background changes and everything, but your face, it just it's cool. Actually, it's fun. Those things are fun and amazing. It's an amazing way to capture your life for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's crazy. But let me ask you this. So going on to Rockstar Inxs, before that, growing up, what drew you into music? What sort of was the main thing that sort of led you to really sort of going down that rabbit hole and becoming a musician, becoming a singer and stuff like that? Because I feel like everyone can appreciate music and you grow up, you sing in the car, the shower and stuff like that. But only a select few in the world can have a certain talent to go on and become musicians.
I think
Well,
part of the thing was me being stubborn. I think that was I just wanted to be good at something, but it was more the way I got into music initially was because as a child I had a bad stutter. Had a speech impediment from the time I was between ages of 6 and 9, I think. I developed this stutter and I found it hard to say D's and T's and S's and M's. So whenever I would have to go in from the front of a class and do a speech or a little talk about a project, whatever, the kids would laugh at me and it'd be so embarrassing because I couldn't get my words out. The M's and the N's were just like, it's death to me. However, whenever I sang a song, I didn't stutter at all. So it was a kind of a way of like making the brain realize, okay, you can't say everything all at once because that's what happens when you stutter. You have a million thoughts in your head and you want to say them all at the same time, but you only have one mouthpiece.
Yeah.
So the music teaches you how to put it into a rhythm and put it into some kind of order. And from that point on, every time I sang, or every time I even read a script from a page, like from a play that we were doing, and I had to read it out, I didn't stutter because I knew that it was an emotional journey that I had to go through to get to the end, from the beginning to end. So you had to start at the beginning, finish at the end, and all these bits in the middle were just as important. So it taught my brain how to not stutter and how to just create my syntax and sentences a lot more clearer and coherently. But for that same point, it was just like the music was my escape. It was when I felt the most normal. It was when I felt the most human, and for the time when I could release a lot of my emotions. I don't mean to have a sob story, but I come from my a broken home. My parents divorced early, and I think that could have been a contributing factor. But whether it was or not, the way that I would escape, any sort of like tension or anything, that I go and play piano or whatever, and I'd feel normal and real, rich again. And I still do that now. Like I put music on, and and in my headphones and go for a jog, and that's my escape. I love it. And from that point on, I didn't think I was really that good, but I thought it was just something fun, and I wanted to be keep it doing it. And that's why I learned how to play piano to accompany myself. I wanted to be Billy Joel, and just play for myself so I could sing. And I think it was one point. I was doing some recordings with my dad and my brother, just mucking around on a little tape recorder. There's big tape recorders. You press play and record. We have a thing called cassette. It's this audio.
Yeah, back in the day, we used to have in the 80s.
And we used to play fun singing all these things on tape. And my dad said to my brother, he has a good voice. He said to my brother, Andrew, you have a really good voice. And I kind of went, how about me, Dad? Do I have a good voice? And he said, not as good as your brother's.
Oh.
And I was like, not the answer I wanted to hear, but my dad's
100%.
my dad's pretty uncensored in lots of things.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, ouch. But I was like, I'll show you who's a better singer. So I really worked at it. And I think he's an optometrist, a very accomplished, very successful businessman as well. And me, I'm still singing because I want to show Dad. Guess who's the better singer now, Dad? Go on.
Yeah. It's just to prove it to your dad.
Prove a point. I'm a stubborn little shit.
100%. But you know what? It's funny how you said like to get through stuttering, and I've found like a lot of musicians and almost like a lot of people that are like artists or entertainers are very much like introverted people, start from being introverted people, and it's like become, there you go, the MiG cup.
The introverts now just
extrovert.
What do you call it? Egocentric. There you go.
But no, like I feel like a lot of people like start out that way. Like a lot of musicians that I knew young growing up were very sort of like, like they spent a lot of time just by themselves at home, learning to play guitar or learning bass or learning something, music wise, and always be like one of my best friends who was, grooms in my wedding, bass player, everything like that. And always he'd be like, I can remember he'd be sitting there, like sitting there chilling, just tapping his fingers, stuff like that. But, socially he was like not off, but it was like, it took him a while to sort of like open up to people. Like I'd say, oh, I come meet my mate, blah, blah, blah. And people be like, oh man, he's a bit like, Like what's going on with him? Like he doesn't
Yeah,
really talk much,
yeah.
but it's like once you got him to open up, he would be like, "Oh wow, this guy's awesome." But like,
It's a,
yeah, like very introverted type of people.
well, music is a good friend, is a great friend, because
Mm,
music can you can take with you all the time. You can develop, you can grow with your music. It keeps you company. It
no
keeps away the
boundaries.
demons. It it fills up those dark spaces that you may have, and life is just simply better with music. That, and
100%.
to have that in your life from an early age, I was really blessed. And it's something that it's I didn't even realize I was going to take this professionally, but it's life has a way of like throwing you these curveballs and just go with the flow. I've learned that. I've stopped planning my life. The minute you start planning things, Piers, like, God comes over and says, "Oh yeah, you think? You
Yeah.
reckon? No, nah, yeah, nah," and pulls the rug from
Yeah, but
underneath you.
nah.
Yeah, nah, shit. How about that? Now, what are you going to do? All those plans are thrown out the window. You just got to go with the flow. I think that's the main thing. It's like every day brings you these new challenges, and God, we're going deep, Piers.
We are
We're
going deep.
going deep
But
very,
let,
very
let me ask you
quickly.
this though:
You
like
have this gift, mate.
once you become a professional musician, right? Because it's like, I've had friends that have owned studios, been producers, everything like that, and they always said it's like the moment I started a business and started making money from it, it then like the passion slowly dwindled. Did you find that at some stage, like at certain points of your career, like because it is a job for you,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like, did you find that it got to a point where it's just like, oh fuck, I'm starting to like not even want to listen to music?
Yeah, there are times when you feel the joy is taken out of it, and the joy is taken out of not because of what it is, but of what you have to do with it. I remember doing Rockstar in Excess, and as great and a wonderful experience as that was, I swore that at the end of the show, I thought, this is the greatest thing that I will never do again because
Yeah.
it was so stressful. Like, I remember, to be honest, I don't think I was ever happy with any performance that I did that was recorded because I let the nerves get to me. I was actually playing the lead in a show in London at the time. I lived in London before moving over to the States, and I was playing the lead in We Will Rock You there. And it was, at the time, it was the biggest show in London, and it was only a pretty penny, and we just bought a place and you have a dog, and life was pretty sweet. And then come along the show, and God says, "Yeah, nah," pulls you out, and next thing you know, you're in the States and performing, and basically trying. Every time you perform, it's not about performing for the fun of it or for the glory of it. It's performing and then letting a panel of judges tell you how bad you were.
Yeah.
It's and in front of the whole world, and you better not screw up because you don't want to give them ammunition to point at. So there's a lot of pressure. I remember being, I had a bit of a panic attack before going on one time. I didn't have any spittle. Like my mouth was so dry. It's like I can't even talk. I was so nervous, and I wanted to throw up a couple of times because it was so nerve wracking. And I thought this is no fun. Doing these
Yeah.
reality shows, performing, it's no fun. It's life changing and can be, but I let the nerves get to me. So that were the points where I feel like, why did I do this? Why did I listen to my mom and become a doctor?
Do you find like those things, like, when you look at music contest shows that are being judged, and like I think Dave Grohl said this, it's like, you have these people sitting there telling these musicians, like, or these singers, no, you're not good, blah 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 blah, and it's like, you're pretty much killing this person's thing. Like they may not be stage ready, or they may not be anywhere near musically talented, but you're burying the next generation of musicians coming through by sort of breaking them down like that. And I think like around that sort of time, like that's where we saw like a lot of those type of shows where the judges were really like ruthless to a certain degree, and sort of like tore them down. So it's like, how many other people would have been going through that as well, having these like high anxiety times where they're about to go and perform in front of like millions of people on
Yeah.
TV? Like it's
Yeah, hundred
daunting.
percent, 100%. I couldn't watch any reality TV shows after doing Rockstar because I would actually get anxious just watching them. They're about to perform, and I could feel what they were going through, and I was just like, oh, I can't. I got to step away because
Mm.
it's fully intense. And we were given psychoanalysis before going into the show. Went through a whole screening process to see, do you have the mental fortitude to actually withstand this? Are you strong enough? Will you break? Do you have anything like, for example, that you would just lose it kind of vibe? So we went through this whole. I guess it was a screening, to find out will you be okay? And even at the end, we even had a debriefing session when we were off the show finished. We all had we were brought to a psych who just basically debriefed us and just said, okay, now you're entering the real world. Because the emotions are so heightened in these things. When you get sequestered from the rest of the world, and this is a very interesting thing which I did not expect getting into this world, that you're cut off from the rest of the world. You have no newspapers, no radio, no TV, nothing. All those people you're only allowed to speak to are those contestants in the show. So those 15 people are your world. Okay, except for Brooke Burke and Dave Navarro, who are and Inxs guys who are kind of like the gods. That we could talk to them when we were allowed to, kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But it was a sense of like these 15 people, you've grew to love them so much because they were your world. And when someone was eliminated from the show, it felt like a death.
Yeah.
It felt like grieving because suddenly they were gone. And the vacuum that they left was when you went back to the house, the Paramore house, they had removed every bit of evidence that they were ever in the house. So they just disappeared.
They just take that memory away from them, from you guys.
Gone. And so you enter this room, and if you were close to someone or you had a conversation, it kills you because you become an absolute.
It's almost like a passing.
It is a passing. You grieve. And it's real. So you see people who like get upset when people leave, but I get it because they've lost a friend, literally.
Yeah, because like it's always like whenever I've seen reality TV shows like that, and it's like no matter what it might be, and you see someone get eliminated from it. Like I was always one of those people like would watch reality TVs and like see people like bawling down and crying. I'm like fuck, come on, man! Like the show goes for 6 weeks. Like you're gonna see them like they're not terminally ill, and then it's better. Then it's like when you look at it and you break it down like that, when you're with these people 24/7, there's no communication with family, friends, or outside world. It's like literally eat, sleep, whatever it is that you're there to do, whether it be music, trained, whatever it may be. That's all you're doing from the moment you wake up to the moment that you sleep.
Yeah, we're a strange species, humans. We get to adapt to our environment pretty quickly, and our environment becomes so adaptable that when we hit a point like that where it's so unreal and not a different world, that becomes our world. And so any concept of anything outside that for the time being is just totally alien, and that's something I didn't expect. I really didn't expect to feel that, and. At the same time, it also, those people that I shared those time with, we're still in contact even now, like the contestants. We're still really good friends. We have a WhatsApp thread. As soon as someone says, hey, Rockstars, what's going on, fuckers? And we go, oh, hey, how you doing now? And it fills up really fast. And we're still in touch with each other, and whenever we can, we get to see each other. So it's cool. I equate it to being like war buddies because, we went literally through war together.
Did anyone have like any mental like freakouts when they were there? Like, because it's such an intense thing, but because also as well, these people that you're there with are like, they are your competition. They're the people gunning for the same thing that you're gunning for. Like, was there anyone there that sort of like, and like, you don't need to sort of mention names, but like, was there anyone there that sort of was on the brink of just like mentally crumbling throughout the experience?
Well, I'm not. Thank you for not throwing me under the bus. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, and I don't want to incriminate anybody. But there were a couple of meltdowns in the show that I thought, oh my god, this is going to make amazing television. I was watching this going, furniture being thrown into the pool and glasses being thrown at the wall and just screaming and shouting and he's a certain person grabbing a cameraman and all that. I was like, this is crazy. This is going to make great TV. and it never made it to the TV because they
Really?
they didn't want to throw this particular person, and but it would have been very damaging for this person if that came out. So anyway,
Really?
that stuff I'll keep to myself. I don't know if I've signed an NDA about that. I think I'm okay, but I just
Well
don't.
and truly past.
He's
But yeah, no. Anyway, like
he's,
if you're still friends with him,
he's a
you
cool
don't want
guy.
to.
We're all good friends, and it's all fine. But it has those times when being in that vacuum, being in that situation where the pressure, it's like a pressure cooker. It really is, and we go through a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of pressure. Oh, sorry.
All good.
Pressure. There's a lot of tension in the air, and it's an unreal environment. And I think it's a recipe for possible disaster. So, people got to be careful about that. I think the debriefing from the psychiatrist. We were given an hour with a psychologist after the show, and I don't think there was enough. I think I needed therapy after the show, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, like, but as far as like the whole reality thing as well, because it's like Rockstar musicians. Was there like encouragement for you guys to like hit the piss, like get on some drugs? Like, was there was that like obviously that shit was like it's not it's not saying you have to, but we strongly encourage you to drink this bottle of Jack Daniels and Jägermeister
Mate,
and a handful of ecstasy.
well.
Line up.
Oh, that'd be a fantastic reality TV show.
Yeah.
That one, but no, definitely beer and wine were available 24/7. We had beer. We had a bar in Paramore that had beer, and the fridge was stocked with Yellowtail Australia. I don't know if there were sponsors, but it was all Yellowtail Australian whites and reds.
Oh,
if you
wow.
wanted to drink wine and beer, go for it. You created some fun moments, but I think they wanted us to have more drama, and that's the thing about the show. They put all this alcohol. They put like a cinder box. And they're about to light the fuse by giving us wine, and it ended up like we were actually just all a bunch of like musicians who were who had done some kind of something before. We weren't just fresh out of being a checkout chick at Coles. We were.
Yeah.
We had done some of them had toured with major acts. Some of them had recording deals before this.
Professionals.
We were in our 30s and late 20s, or except for Jordan, she was younger, 22 or something. We had our experience. So we came in this going, wow, you guys play music. Let's have fun. So instead of us fighting with each other, we just it was more kumbaya than pash pow bam. We would get around the campfire and sing songs to each other all night, and jam all night. It was great. It was so much fun with those guys.
But like, I feel like that's the way that they kind of presented you guys. Like, for memory, looking back of it, it was like everyone seemed like friends. Like, I think you got an encore performance for the Peter Frampton song.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe I Love You Way, and it's like I was actually watching, like I rewatched like a few of the like episodes of the show leading up to this interview, and I watched it, and I watched the encore of that, and I was watching it with my wife, and I'm like, do you reckon he did that right? Like, called up the other two, because it's like, what better way to put yourself over than having your competitors sing backup for you during your encore? Like, I'm going, I was like, was that a mind trick? I'm like, because he seems like such a nice guy that it probably wasn't, but it's like, if it was, kudos to you.
Well, I actually never thought of it that way. That would be a great way. Oh, and because I'm a good sport, you guys can be my backup band while I sing. There you go. I never thought of it that way, but that's funny. But no, it was purely a way of like, I think we were all, I think at that point, at the height of like, gosh, let's do this together. And I thought it'd be a fun thing to do, and that hadn't been done before. So come on, guys, come and join me. I don't know.
It was pretty cool.
Maybe a little bit eggy. Cool. I don't know. But funny thing, there are certain things I look back on now. I can't really watch the episodes because at the time, again, you think, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why did I? And I got to cut myself some slack because, of course, it was a different environment, a different time, and I said the things that, to be honest, and that hit me at the time. But I look back on it now, I go, ooh,
I feel
Idiot.
like 2005 was like an interesting time for us to be alive, like because that was kind of like the boom of the emo music theme, and like
Yeah.
it was kind of like I look back at sort of like the things like I had like stuff in my old timeline pop up of around that time and with the hairstyles and shit like that I used to have. I'm like, oh man, I
Yeah.
I didn't suit a fringe at all. Like no,
Wait a
like I
sec.
look like no, no. But
What are you
you
talk?
put
What,
you
what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about?
no, dude, you pull it off. But someone like me with a round face with that, I just look like a South Park character. You know what I mean? Like, no, like it just looked like, bro, I'll find you an old photo and send you it, and you'll just be like, no, 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 no.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, nah. No, this I got to see. This I got to see, Piers. I'm in
Oh,
for it. But 2000, it was an interesting time to be alive. I got to say, it was exciting time. For me anyway, it was like coming out of playing the lead in London, just going from
yeah.
show to show was great. And and someone said, "Oh, they're auditioning for the lead singer of Inxs." Like, I auditioned for the show in London. Next thing you know, I'm there, and it being sent to LA, and it just seems so surreal. It just seems so surreal.
Did
And
you like did you like think going into that because like being in like the stage play We Will Rock You, like was it ever a thought for you to be like a sing like the lead singer of a rock band? Like, you know what I mean? Like, was that ever like a goal for you, or was
yeah,
like musical theater like where your passion
no,
lay with rock?
it was always rock, man. It was always I always wanted to be the rock star. It was always that was the goal. That was the end goal. It was always wanted to be a pop star, a rock star. And I even told Mum before I went to university, I went to Macquarie Uni, but I didn't want to go. I said, Mum, I've got this band. I had bands at school, and we had this band called Love Town at the time. It was kind of like a funk soul, hip hop kind of group that we had, and I said, we're going to be huge, Mum. And like she says, you're going to uni first,
Yeah,
and then we'll talk about it. So, I've always wanted to be in a band, being a pop star, writing songs. I've been writing songs since I was 10 years old. So that
mm,
kind of thing, that's what I wanted to do, and feel like, if I could make it, that'd be really great. Um, but I was at university, and I was working, and the as a behind the candy bar at what was it? Village Cinema City in George Street in Sydney. All
yeah.
right, and selling choc tops and popcorn for
That's old school Village Cinema
six.
in Sydney,
Yeah,
George
well, it probably
Street.
doesn't exist anymore, right? $6 an hour, and I came back from working all over the weekend, and I met a friend at uni, and this guy at uni said, "Oh yeah, I just earned $2,000 yesterday at doing a Coke commercial." I'm like, that's the way to do it. Yeah, okay. So I got an agent and tried to get me some commercials. I didn't get any commercials until about a year later. I was about to give up, and I got an anti-speeding commercial from the RTA. I was this kid who had a crash and had to learn how to walk again. I was like, this is fun. The very next audition I had was for a pilot for a children's TV series called Mission Top Secret. And the pilot was being filmed in Europe, in Amsterdam, and in Spain, and England, and I got that.
That's wild.
So at 19 years of age, I was flown jet skiing through the Amsterdam canals, chasing my bad guys, and I thought, this is fun, this is awesome, this is better, this beats working for a living. And then I come back from that, and my mum was picking me up from the airport, and I had an audition to go straight from the airport straight to Her Majesty's Theatre, because they're looking for someone to play Richie Valens in a show called Buddy, the Buddy Holly story.
Oh,
And it's like, oh, theatre. Oh, I thought it was going to be film, but that's all right. Okay, let's go and do it. And I sang La Bamba because we used to do it in reception bands, and it was kind of a cover we did. And Los Lobos was huge at the time. And
yeah.
so I went and sang La Bamba, got that gig. So three out of three, suddenly from getting no gigs to three in a row, I got. And this one was the Buddy Holly story. It was a huge deal. It was a huge hit in London at the time. This was way back in 1990. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what I remember they did. Like they did the Buddy Holly story
Yeah.
around that time, and it was like a big deal. Like they toured all around Australia with it.
We did, yeah. We had Doug Parkinson playing the Big Bopper. May he rest in peace. What a beautiful man, beautiful soul. And we had this amazing cast. But we basically, on the opening night of the show in Sydney, the producers from the West End show were there watching. And that night at the party afterwards, they said, "Oh, Miguel, how would you like to come to London for 6 months, or come to the West End? I said, yeah, oh yeah, I'll give it a go.
Why
So
not?
9 months later, I was in London opening for the show, with a show in the West End. And at that time, we did a royal variety performance for Her Majesty the Queen. May she also rest in peace. And Princess Diana. Oh, I gotta stop doing this. It'll die on me.
Yeah, they're all dying.
And so I did all this uh, stuff, pretty cool stuff. And then I come back to Australia, and because I'd done all this stuff, they all thought, "Oh my God, MiG's a musical theatre cat." And so I went from show to show to show to show. When we did West Side Story, I did Grease. I took over from Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce was playing Danny Zuko.
Yeah.
In Melbourne, and he left to do a movie called Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. You may have heard of that.
Yeah.
And I got to replace him. So I'm thinking this is all working out really, really well. I went from show to show to show, but really I had no idea what I was doing with musical theatre. It was just something that I just fell into by accident. But it was always like to finally get a recording deal when I was 35 through Rockstar and Inxs. By the time when I already given up being a recording artist, I thought it's not going to happen. I'm too old. It's not going to happen. Next thing you know, I land this major deal with a major record company out of the US. So,
did nearly like most of the people like that were in the show get a deal, like, or the top five? Like, how did it work?
well, we had to go. We're going through Sony Epic initially, and can you forgive me one second? My dog is scratching at the door, and I think she's getting frantic about trying to get in. Can you give me 1 second? Talk amongst yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. This is the real stuff.
Absolutely.
Uncensored.
Make sure you go and check out our sponsor, healthvape.com. Check out all their vape and pod products. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. Also, wherever you're tuning in, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. And we're back again with MiG Ayesa.
Good. I love how you did it. Very smooth, Piers. Nice.
Hey, that's it, man. Plug. That's why they called me Mr. Smooth.
There you go, mate. And I got to say, yeah, so we were all slated to have signed with Epic. Like Inxs's new record was being signed through Sony. And then they were going to do Marty Casey's band Love Hammers, which was going to be second cab off the rank. Then they were going to do Jordis, because they really believed that Jordis Unger, she was young and she had an incredible voice, incredible presence, and they thought she's going to be a star. I was going to be the fourth cab off the rank. I was actually the fourth one. So, but they were still working on Marty's record. They're still working on the Inxs record. It was a friend of it was someone watching the show. She had just given birth. She was watching the show. Watch me do "Baby I Love Your Way," the Peter Frampton song, and she TiVoed it and gave it. And when her husband came home from work, she played him this thing and said, "You got to get this guy." And her husband was the head of A&R at Decca Universal. So when he saw that, he chased me. So he called up Mark Burnett Records and said, we want to speak to MiG. And it was purely from someone from Pamela Dunaway. Thank you, Pam, for TiVoing the performance, showing it to Dave Novick. And Dave Novick went, yeah, well, this is the guy. So they approached him. So they were able to get me out of the deal. They asked Epic whether Decca could have them. And they said, well, we're not really sure what we're going to do with MiG yet. So yeah, go on, have him. Which was so
Epic gave Universal your contract, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Wow. You can have. We don't know really what we're going to do with this Aussie Filipino guy.
Did you feel like at that point that Epic, like, did you take that as kind of like a fuck you from Epic, like going like, no, obviously you don't see the value in me, so just palm me off, like?
No, I mean, I guess you can look at it that way, but for me, all I could say was I just am excited that someone really gives a shit, like someone cares, and like the fact that there is a bit of it wasn't so much a bidding war, but they were like, there was a bit of negotiation between Decca and Epic to, well, what do you need from us? We want MiG, and so even if it was nothing like monetary negotiation, it was just a talk and discussion, and it feels good to be wanted.
100%.
Everyone wants to feel wanted, and it was at that point to actually feel that people actually gave a shit about who I was and what I could possibly do as a recording artist, I was excited for it. So I was just like a kid in a candy store, a deer in headlights, so to speak. And I walked in, just, it was amazing. The record with Decca was possibly a little, it wasn't supported because of lots of situations within Decca. People got fired and they lost track of what we're doing with the album. They shelved the album for a while, finally released it with a couple of more, re-recordings and without any promotion, blah, blah, blah. And that was the kind of end of my recording career. But the whole point of that was, I have to be grateful because with that record, I got to record with some of the amazing musicians at Capitol Records in LA, the studios in Capitol Records, and also fly to London and record with 60-piece orchestras with at Abbey Road Studios.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like, pinch me, I must be dreaming. It's those experiences that no one can ever take away from me. And again, it's like, what do we do with this? It may not be the end game, but use that to propel yourself and to create something more and bigger and grow on that. And I got to say, it was like what a beautiful platform to grow with. Like, I never thought at 35 years of age I'd be recording my own album at Abbey Road Studios with 60-piece orchestras. That's just insane.
What was it like, recording Abbey Road? Because that's one of the most historic places in music history.
Yeah, there's a documentary at the moment. I think Paul McCartney's daughter has made a documentary about If These Walls Could Sing. I think the name is called If These Walls Could Sing. It's all about recording at Abbey Road Studios, and I get goosebumps just when I watch, because I go, I was there. You can actually, I was like, the microphones that they use, we use these back in the time when we record the Beatles. I'm like, what?
This is the same microphone that John Lennon recorded.
Does John Lennon spit in this diaphragm? I can smell it.
Yeah, it smells like John Lennon's breath. I can smell it.
The smell of
like
Lennon.
Coffee and marijuana.
May he rest in peace too. Well,
absolutely.
But it's legendary. It doesn't fall short for me. I'm a huge Beatles fan, and anything that Abbey Road is synonymous with just legends. And so to even be record there is just, it's an honor. It's a real honor.
How'd you feel walking in there, like when you knew you were going to record at Abbey Road? Like was it overwhelming? Was it like emotional? Because it's like, man, I can imagine emotions would be running wild, like going into a situation.
I was absolutely scared out of my pants. Actually, I was like, you get that imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
I got it huge. I'm like walking into Abbey Road, going, it's just me, right? It's just this kid from Strathfield. What's all this big deal with it? There's orchestras tuning up, walking into, Abbey to Studio A and going, oh my God, wow, what the universe can bring to you sometimes. I actually felt like one day they're going to realize, oh, you're not that good. Oh, what are we doing? Oh yeah, turn off the record. Sorry, MiG. Yeah, we had made a mistake. I was waiting for them to do that to me that day.
Oh man, that's rough. But like a 60-piece orchestra walking into that would be like pretty intimidating, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like we had, Rob Mathis was the producer of those tracks that we recorded at Abbey Road Studios, and he's a phenomenal talent. Like he sings, he plays piano, plays guitar, plays bass. Like he wrote the arrangements, and he's in there with all the charts, talking to the concert master, and everyone's like listening to him, and people are tuning up and everything, walking in. And I just, as a time of, before cell phones, like you had smartphones, stuff like that. It was just at that cusp. I think I had an iPhone, the first iPhone at that point was in 2006, and it was a little bit sort of daunting to even record with that, because it just was poo, the quality.
Yeah.
I wish I had some really good quality recordings of me being in there to capture it, But,
it's
these
crazy.
days I'd be selfieing myself.
100%. The gram would be on fire.
Oh, you never guess where I am. I'm in Abbey Road Studios. But now I just got to go.
MiG went live on Instagram.
I'll be doing my Facebook live straight, from the Studio A in.
But that's the thing, is like now, like to be able to have that documented and stuff like that. It's like, it is those moments which to be able to capture those things. But you spoke about the Paramore mansion that you stayed in, and the Paramore For people that don't know, it's a famous mansion in Los Angeles, right? So it was owned by a silent film actress and actor. The wife died in, I believe, a car accident. She was buried in the property. I think the husband is also buried in the property as well. I'm not.
I'm
You
not
might.
really sure. To be honest, I don't know, but you've done great research, Piers. I'm very impressed.
Thank you, thank you. But
By
like this place, they've had multiple bands live in this house
yeah.
and record, and there's been stories of like paranormal activity. Like I think My Chemical Romance recorded there, and I think that their guitarist actually had to leave halfway through, like staying there to record because he was having like these major moments of like mental like anguish and shit because he was experiencing this crazy paranormal experience.
Well, that could
Like,
explain the meltdown that this certain cast member of a Rockstar and Inxs had because it was absolutely nuts and insane.
did you see any paranormal shit? Like, you seem like a pretty like down to earth, like, yeah, I mean, not really believing too much. Like you don't really seem like a guy who believes in ghosts, right? So,
Well,
but did you feel much of that energy there, like all that craziness there?
yeah, it was hard to actually. I possibly if it was really quiet, and in those moments, I guess maybe, but it was very rarely quiet. So
Yeah.
if it was quiet and I was by myself, maybe those things possibly I could have felt if I was allowed myself to feel that way. But we were there with like it was a noisy place, mate. We had 15 rock star musicians who were all constantly making noise, singing and banging things, and we had cameramen and and audio guys and producers running around the place trying to document what we're doing every minute of the day. Even in the bathroom, the only time we were by ourselves was with the bathroom. But if there were more than one person in the bathroom, they'd burst down the door and film us brushing our teeth together, and we're like, really? Things like that.
Oh,
So we were
really?
very rarely left alone. And
Was
I
there
did.
ever like any instigating? Because it's like, when you've got men and women there, they're going, oh, like, maybe you guys can have a couple of drinks by the pool tonight. You know what
Well,
I mean? After the show.
what I found about with reality TV, not much. There's a lot of unreality TV where they do try to make things happen, and they it's nothing scripted, but they do kind of like think it'd be cool if
Correct the
you.
narrative.
Yeah, what about you go there? Ask them about this. Ask them about that. I might get a word in my ear from a producer once the cameras are perfect. They go, ask him about that. Ask him about this. And so, oh, okay. So you want the conversation to head to that. So you go and do that. But like I said, there is one scary moment in the Paramore that I think was more of a ghost. Is more J.D. Fortune, the guy who actually won the show.
Yeah.
Canadian who toured with Inxs. We have just finished doing some recording at CBS, some TV part of the TV show, and we were went back to the Paramore, which is on a hill on Silver Lake in Los Angeles, and we're just talking, and JD's actually a very nice, very funny, warm guy. And we were walking through the corridors, and he goes arm around me, goes, Meg, I freaking love you, dude. You're amazing. And we just like having these moments together is really important, And we go through. And we're having this conversation of like being bros, right? And then we're walking down a corridor, and there's a part of the corridor, and it's a huge mansion, but there's part of the corridor that's quite dark. There's heavy curtains over these huge windows, and it's almost black as you're walking through. So it was maybe, about 20 feet of like it being quite dark, and he's still got his arm around me. And then as we get out of the dark spot and go into the light, I look down, he's completely naked. JD's completely taken all his clothes off.
And he's having like
but by still having my arm around him, so I'm thinking nothing's going wrong. But so he's just talking, and he somehow he walked around, and then when we find him in the light, he's naked. Go, what the hell, Jesus!
That is awesome.
It was a good trick, and yeah, I was like, yeah, well, ladies, look out. Don't ever be in a mansion with JD Fortune by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. He'll get naked on you. That's crazy.
But he's a sexy guy. If you want that kind of thing, go for it. You want to?
Hey, if JD Fortune wants to get naked, he's gonna get naked. You know what I mean? Like,
it was a good moment. He got me a beauty. That was the scariest thing that happened to me on Paramore. That was it.
Yeah. How did you feel like? Because like he kind of like, had sort of a bit of a downward spiral after INXS because like I remember seeing like on the news or something like on some sort of clip that he got dumped at a hotel like at an airport
At
in
Hong Kong.
Asia and
Yeah.
like was like yeah see you later and they're like their defense was well he was never part of the band he was just a contracted talent.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of speculations of what happened between JD and NXS. I mean, always thought it would be a tumultuous relationship. I always thought it would be a not an abusive relationship, but I thought it would always be an interesting one to look out for. Whether it's completely homogenous 100% of the time, I'm guaranteed to tell you that it wasn't, and I'm sure they had their moments where
Of course.
they were the divorce is about to happen, you know, and the separation was imminent. But I don't really know the extent of the things that happened there. But initially, the winning Rockstar in Excess, the contract was for 2 years, and I think at that point, whether they were going to renew it or not was up to in Excess. And I think at the point they said, well, we've done our run. They had a good run, you know. I think they expected it to do better than what they did because when they were touring around the country, they toured, you know, extensively for a couple of years, and they did some amazing concerts. But you know, I don't think the momentum of the show carried them past a certain point. I think they milked it for all they could, and they realized maybe it's time to do something a little different. I think that was the bottom line. But I do believe it was at, you know, at the last time was that I don't think JD was fully aware of what was happening, but they're like, oh yeah, bye. Yeah, at Hong Kong airport. I think he wasn't happy about it. I know that.
Oh, of course. But like, like, what did you think of the album that they released?
I thought it was pretty good, mate. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, of course, Pretty Vegas was a great
catchy
song,
tune.
catchy tune, and that was more like the NXS that we knew about. You know, it's sort of like funky and rocky, and just like it had a movement, a momentum to it. And I thought it was really great. Brought you back to the old beautiful NXS days because I'm a huge NXS fan. That's why I did the show. That's why I left my job in London. That's why the whole world turned over because I wanted to be. I really was invested in trying to be. If I could be the lead singer of NXS, it would be great. I got to perform with them at least because of the show, which is fantastic, and I supported them in a couple of concerts. So, you know, box ticked. But
100%.
but he. The album was great. I mean, there were some bits that were good. Like there was a Hot Girls was a standout for me because it's just so cheeky and talking about just them being rock stars and about hot girls.
Yeah, I like songs like that. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like the Kiss song "Love Gun." Like you know what I mean? I like rock songs like that, which are so like just cheesy. Like
Girl,
look at my cock type of rock.
Let's not forget about why we really go into music in the first place. Okay, hot girls.
It's all about hot chicks, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
girls. So yeah, I thought it was a really cool album. You know, I listened to it, and also this one was Afterglow. I think it was really cool.
Yeah,
So,
that was a really dope song.
I think JD sounded great doing it. They got what they wanted. They asked for something and they got it, and I think they did well. Switch was good one.
Yeah. What do you
I
find?
think it would have sounded better with you know, if MiG
with
was
an Australian singer
with an Australian accent on it. I think maybe, I don't know.
did you feel like a lot of the audience of that show kind of like thought you were like the dead ringer to win the show just based on like being an Australian?
In a way, it worked for me and against me. It was kind of a thing where they thought, oh, you got to choose an Australian because he's Australian. He's the only one. He's got to be the one. But also they thought, oh, hang on. If he chooses an Australian, then why did they do this show in the first place? Why did they go to LA and record this? Why did they audition all around the world? They should have just kept in Australia. So it was kind of like if they chose me, it would be like, oh, it's kind of that was.
They showed favoritism,
it was kind of like, well, why did we bother doing the show? They could have they knew me from before from Friends and Friends. So just go with him. Why put us through the whole process? So to find a Canadian winning, it was, I think the thematic for the show, and I think it came. So it worked for me and worked against me, but it works for me still now because when people stop me sometimes, I mean, there's people still stop me in the street and go, "Oh my God, you're that guy from that show." Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, but I think, "Oh, I voted for you. You should have won. You're the only Australian." That's how they remember me, the only Australian. So,
But do you find like is that frustrating for you that that you've been able to put out this different this body of music and performances over the years, and the one that you're most sort of recognized for is covering is doing a reality TV show? Like, does that kind of sting a little bit?
no, not at all, not at all. It's just nice to be loved, just nice to be remembered. I don't care how you remember me, just remember me.
Yeah.
It's cool, it's absolutely fine, and I know that it was just the vehicle. Like, my gosh, global television show. It was the only reality TV show that people could vote for contestants worldwide. It was the only one of its kind. Even up to now, I think you can't do that. But as the show is being shown around the world, people could vote in real time, and they would close the polling at a certain point, and certain point. So you had a window to vote, and then it was shut. So, and they could sort of graph who was more popular in which country, as the world turned kind of vibe. So it reached a lot of people. People enjoyed the show, and I'm glad. If I was going to do one reality TV show, I'm really glad that was the one that I did.
It was a different feel to what the other music reality shows were, like the American Idols, the Australian Idols. Like, it was so different because you started seeing the way I remember seeing is wow, these are real musicians, because it's they're getting to play instruments when they perform, whereas you watch the Australian Idols and stuff like that, and it's kind of oh yeah, they're really good at karaoke, right? You know what I mean? That's the kind of the way that I sort of would see Australian Idols. Oh yeah, these guys are good singers. They're the best singer at karaoke in their family. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I saw. And then it was Rockstar and Inxs, you're seeing these different levels of voices that aren't natural, that aren't necessarily these pop sort of standard generic pop voices that you sort of were starting to hear in pop music around that time, around the early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, well, I got to say, it was an amazing group of people, and I walked in fairly confident. That's a weird thing. It's at the time, I was telling you, playing the lead in this musical by Queen, and I was everything I sort of touched, I had some kind of varying degrees of success with. So I was a bit cocky. I was walking in, was oh, I got this one. Oh, wait till they hear me. This will be great. And suddenly I found myself in the middle or the back of the pack, because I walked in and I these over the top A type, alpha type personalities with these huge voices and different voices. We had country singers, we had pop, we had punks, we had we had
such an eclectic group.
Such an eclectic group. And as soon as they opened their mouths, you kind of went, wow. As soon as Ty Taylor, for example, opened his mouth, I just thought, oh, goodbye. And that's the end of the show. He wins. Fantastic. But I found out, though, it wasn't really about the voice. It was a whole package that they were looking at, how you present yourself and how you relate to people and how you perform. It's not just about the voice, which was other shows like The Voice. And, I guess it's more about, actually, that's not true. That's not true. It's all about the stories in the voice. I'm riffing here, and I'm stumbling over my own facts. It's not true. Forget I said any of that. It's not true.
You're yeah, no, fuck that. No, wait, no, fuck me.
No, MiG, you're wrong.
I love it. First time I've had someone argue with themselves on the podcast
and lose.
Agree to disagree with yourself here, Mig.
Yeah, no, forget I said that. Scrub that. But I realized, it wasn't just about the voice for us, and I found myself in the back of the pack initially, and I was like, oh, I'm not used to being in the back of the class. I learned a lot from being in Rockstar, just from the performers and from, people like Dave Navarro would come in almost every day and talk to us, and just speaking with him, you learn a lot about how it is to be a performer, be a recording artist, and how to live. He'd been through so much of what he was telling us, what he'd gone through, and where he was, and how he conducts himself. You just go, wow, okay, Mig, you have to stop you're not the be all and end all of everything. These people are real. These are the real deal. And I found myself just learning so much from just talking to them. And I think that's part of the reason why we all get on so well. We all shared and respected each other.
Yeah, man, no, 100%. But Mig, it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 seconds with Piers. So for everyone who's tuning in for the first time, how this works, I've got a bunch of random questions. I'm going to fire at Mig. He's got 60 seconds to answer as many of these as he can. Now, Mig, are you ready for me to start with one?
I'm going to, put my seatbelt on. Okay, let's go.
Okay. Name a gross meal combination that you love that no one else does.
Tuna and oats.
Whoa, that's interesting. Snapchat or TikTok?
Snapchat.
One has to go. Game of Thrones, Lord of Rings, or Harry Potter?
Game of Thrones. Oh, one has to go?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Harry Potter.
Okay. What is the funniest thing to happen to you recently?
I got home and tying my shoelace, and I fainted, and I hit my head on the floor, and I had 3 stitches.
Jeez, that's rough. Okay? If you were given a lion as a pet, what would you name it?
A lion?
Yeah,
Kitty.
A lion.
Kitty.
Okay. If you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Honest, old, kind.
Okay. If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Only break glass in emergencies.
Which celebrity was your first crush?
I dream of Genie.
What is something that you enjoy that you are embarrassed to admit that you like? Kind of like a guilty pleasure.
Watching Deck Mediterranean.
Okay, and last one. In 5 minutes' time, you are being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
I'll take my guitar and my lip balm.
Got to stay moisturized. There we go. That has been 60 seconds of Piers with MiG Ayesa.
Oh my God,
But,
that was stressful. I need a drink now.
Oh man, thank you so much for coming on the show, Mig. This has been a great lot of fun. Where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they go show you some love and follow you and all that good stuff?
Mate, please follow me. I'm working on a new album, so eventually I'm going to be putting up on all my socials. My Instagram is @MiG Ayesa, Facebook @Ayesa, and my website is mig-music.com.
There you go. Make sure you go and follow Mig. Also, Mig, I end every episode asking this one question. And that is, what is one question that I didn't ask you in this podcast that you wish that I did ask you? And how would you have answered that question?
Would have asked me, what the hell with a capital G in MiG?
Is that how it's actually spelt? Is like
with the
M-I...
Capital G, yeah. But why the capital G in MiG? Yeah. But
can you tell us why?
The reason for it, yeah. Well, my real name is Miguel Alfonso Ramon Ayesa, okay? But that's why growing up in Australia, people always got it wrong. Calling me Manuel. Is it Nigel? Is it Nigel? Is it Miguel? Miguel. It's like, oh my God, just call me Mig. It's kind of stuck. Mig. But then when I started doing my solo stuff, I just called myself Mig. But with a small G, it looked unfinished. And at the time, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. And so I started to build, I built these MiGs. And that's how MiGs are spelled, like the Soviet planes called Mikoyan Gurevich was like the McDonnell Douglas of Soviet Union. And they would build the MiGs because Mikoyan Gurevich, capital G for Gurevich. And I just said, it looked cool. It just looks cool. And so I started branding myself. And there it goes. That's why the MiGer. Yes, sir.
The MiGer. There you go.
Oh, no, you can't say that. You can't say that.
You said it. The MiGer.
I said MiG. Oh, no.
I thought you said the MiGer.
Oh, you see, that's especially
that
in the
could
United
be
States. That could be the end of
that
you are cancelled. He's like, no, I said,
really.
yeah. They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
it
with an
sounds too
M.
much.
I said,
Sounds too much like the N word. I know. It's too close. No, there's some things that you can't joke about here, and that's one of them. I'm afraid, but I know it means nothing like that. But it's just too close, and so I stay away from that as much as I can. It's just going to get me in trouble.
Yeah, no, I bet that's probably the safest way to do it.
Yeah.
But Mig, thank you for coming on the show, man. This has been a great conversation. I definitely want to get you back on because I feel like this conversation could go on for at least another like hour or two.
Mate,
To be honest, like it's just sort of fun.
I would love to. So, being on any time, Piers, I'd love to talk to you anytime. It's really great to hear you, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been really fun.
Thank you very much, man. We'll definitely make it happen. But guys, till next time, this has been MiG Ayesa with Piers Austin on Shooting the Shit Uncensored. We'll see you again very soon. Take care. All the best. Peace.
Peace.